Credit union friends, welcome to this episode of Three Questions. I'm Greg Michlig, President and CEO at CUInsight.com, and it's great to be joined by two icons of the credit union movement, Tony Boutelle, President and CEO of Origence, and Bill Cheney, CEO at SchoolsFirst Federal Credit Union. Bill, Tony, thanks for being here.
Greg, thank you. Great to be with you and with Tony.
Yes, it is.
Well, before we jump into this, I just wanted to say, again, it's great to have you both here. Bill, I think back to when I was stepping into the CEO role in New Jersey and you were leading CUNA. You made the trip up to New Jersey to visit with our members. You've always been very supportive, and I've really appreciated staying connected with you over the years.
Absolutely.
And and Tony, we've known each other a long time as well. And when I first took over the role here at CUInsight, I appreciate that you came up to me in the lobby of the ACUL meeting in Miami. It was right after I joined CUInsight.
Yep.
And you asked about CUInsight, what our platform was, and how Origence could get more involved. And now Origence is a partner of CUInsight, and I want to thank you for that.
Nice.
And just say that interaction meant a lot to me personally as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Greg.
But today we're talking about credit unions for kids. So
Yes.
for anyone who's not familiar with credit unions for kids, newer to that idea, how do you describe the program and what it means to you personally?
Well, I'll start. It really is the charity of choice of credit unions, which has really been cool. I mean, 40 years of children's credit unions for kids. It started in Oregon, and I would actually, give credit to a guy, Tom Sargent, Roger Michaels, and Sarah Kanipa Bang, who kind of started this concept out. I mean, it's a perfect, I think, marriage of credit unions and children's hospitals in the communities of the credit unions, and how we can give back to the community. They started this in Portland, Oregon with Dornbecker Hospital, and now there's 177 hospitals that are supported by credit unions all across the country. And, it's just great to see that this has been embraced. And there's so many events now too that credit unions are setting up to support the children's hospital. So, again, it just couldn't be a better match from a community perspective. I mean, credit unions are community-based organizations. The children's hospitals do such a great job for the children in those communities and making them well and, taking care of them. So I think it's just a great match.
Yeah, I agree. And my involvement with CMN hospitals, children's hospitals, goes back to the 80s in San Antonio, Texas, with Santa Rosa Children's Hospital. Literally, well, it was 40 years ago, mid 80s. Some of that, even before credit unions for kids was a thing. We at Security Service Credit Union at the time had a relationship with the Children's Hospital there, as did other credit unions in town. I mean, it all sort of developed into what became credit unions for kids. My wife was involved. Also, the hospital was a client of her advertising firm at the time. So that's history, and it's important. But what's more important is the impact that those hospitals have in our communities and how it ties into the people helping people philosophy of credit unions. Today at Schools First, we're a statewide credit union that serves educators, and we support hospitals, CMN hospitals throughout California. So yes, 2 miles from where I'm sitting in Santa Ana, California, there's what's Children's Hospital of Orange County, now called Rady Children's Health, is one of the hospitals we support, but we support the hospital in San Diego and in Northern California, Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. So it's not just what we do, the corporate support for the credit union, but our team members get involved in fundraising activities throughout the year. And it's become a competitive thing to, how can we do more to help the kids? And so it's really, and let me say, Tony mentioned Tom Sargent, and he certainly was one of the founding fathers of CU4Kids. Tom was on the CMN Hospitals board for many years, and he was followed by Stan Holland, and I'm now the Credit Union for Kids representative on that board. So that history now goes back. I'm not sure when Tom first joined the board, but I still talk to board members and people at CMN who remember him and his contributions fondly. And we raised $21 million, I believe, last year, Credit Unions for Kids, for CMN, making us one of the top. We're in the top 5 of the corporate partners nationally for CMN. And that includes organizations like Costco and Walmart, much bigger organizations. So the impact is massive.
That history is so important, and as you said, the impact is probably even more important, today. But Tony, you also mentioned so many other events taking place, and the charity of choice terminology, I think, is spot on. And for one of those events, your team, Tony, has spent over 20 years refining the CU4Kids wine auction. So, what
Mm.
stands out most about its impact? And can you share the lessons learned from that?
It's been a great journey. And, when we started that wine auction, and it was an influence from the wine auction that they had up in Portland, we saw them do that. They actually stopped theirs and just started doing golf tournaments. But we started this 21 years ago. And the first year we might have made $100,000, I think. So it's really great to see credit unions come together and feel so good at the end of the night about creating a big number. That does get split, by the way, to 11 children's hospitals. This wine auction goes for the 9 children's hospitals in California and 2 in Nevada. But to see it grow and to see the impact that it's had has been just really, really cool. I think that this last year we did 2.4 million, so the most we've ever done. And I think again, as after that event, you saw so many people post how proud they were of what they could do to give back to the children's hospitals and their communities. So it was really nice to see. And we set this up. I think the one thing I would just say that's really important if anybody's doing another event is that us and a few other larger vendors underwrite the whole event. So all the money that the credit unions give, either corporately, and as Bill said, there's a lot of personal donations too from the participants, from the employees of the credit union. And so, we get between the mix of corporate donations and personal donations, it's really cool to see everybody really dig down and give back. And again, 2.4 million was a really nice number last year. So.
Yeah, another record year. I mean, it seems like year on year now we raised the bar with that wine auction. It's really become, it started out as California and Nevada, but it's really become a national event. And it's great to see so many leaders, industry leaders, leaders from our partners such as Origence and TrueStage and many others who participate and support the event. It's
I want to give
fun to see it grow.
I want to give a shout out to one of the Blues Brothers here because Bill has been chair of that event twice, along with Darren Williams, and they performed the Blues Brothers and did an awesome job of really taking a lot of personal risk to raise money for the kids. So it was really cool to see they did it 2 years ago, I think. Actually, it was the 20th anniversary. You guys reprised. You said you'd never do it again, Bill, but the kids got to you, right?
I was voluntold this time to do it. Yeah, for sure. It's fun and fun to do it with Darren, who's the professional in the duo.
He's Jake, and
sure.
you're Elwood. Yeah,
exactly.
I did see that on the social media and in the post-event coverage, and looked like a lot of fun. And again, as you said, a lot of impact. That's a big number, $2.4 million.
And 20 million total over more than 20 million over the 21 years. So what started out, it was probably right around 100,000 year one. It's really come a long way. Yeah,
that's fantastic. So, what do you wish every credit union leader understood about the power for credit unions for kids and how they can get involved?
Well, as I said earlier, that there's so many events now. I'm not sure we need a lot more events, to be honest with you. I think it's participating in those events, though. I mean, there's of course, there's several still in Oregon. There's the wine auction here. There's the one that the run that they do, the Sacramento run for children's hospitals. There's the Cherry Blossom Run. There's the new one in Texas that Caroline Willard put together. Tansy Cerns put one together up in the Great Lakes. That's another great event. I've been to a couple times. And then there's a new one in Florida too that Samantha Bueller put together. So I would say, support their events because they do give back. I think they have a similar model where the money that comes in and you say what hospitals you want it to go to, they will send the money back to those hospitals. And that's what we do with our guests too, is ask them, if they're coming from a credit union, which hospital would you like to support? And as Bill does, he splits his corporate and personal donations across several hospitals. So I think that's really, I think, an important thing that we just kind of, so many of these just popped up over the last few years. To support all of them, I think is really what I would just say, and we the list goes on. We could obviously maybe Greg, maybe we could come up with the total list of different events that are done throughout the United States on behalf of credit unions to share with the group that's interested.
Yeah,
we'll make sure we get that listed. Yep.
Yeah, lots of regional events, and those are really important. There's also, there's a lot done at the local level. These local hospitals, your members are being impacted by children's hospitals. I mean, I can say that with confidence. As Tony said, there's more than 170 hospitals around the country that provide care regardless of the ability to pay. They're saving children's lives every day. And I have personal experience with that as well, of our grandson, Jack, who will be 8 next month. And so he was born at Colorado Children's, but treated at Boston Children's. And many people have heard that story. But the local events and your relationship with your local children's hospitals will help your organization, and it'll help your members and their families. And that's what we're all about, is people helping people. There's so many examples. They just had, within the last couple of weeks, Desert Financial in Arizona has a big golf tournament. They do a lot. They do a lot of events, but they have this big golf tournament every year that supports their local children's hospital. And those things are happening all the time. And there's a team at CMN Hospitals. Nick Coleman leads that team that their job is to work with credit unions around the country to make those connections with the local hospitals and come up with ideas. There's a Credit Union for Kids Advisory Committee, a national committee that actually helps coordinate these events and the sharing of ideas for how we can do more, because the need only gets greater. Healthcare costs are not going down, and children need our help, and this is a great way to support hospitals. So whether it's a regional event or a national event, like the ones that Tony mentioned in our wine auction, support those, but also get involved locally.
Yeah, that the partnership of credit unions and working with that team with Nick and Melissa and everyone at Credit Unions for Kids, and CUInsight is proud to partner with them as well.
Thank you.
Reason that we're doing this, and we also contribute part of the registration fees from our quarterly virtual events to Credit Unions for Kids. And
thank you for that.
When we think about the people helping people philosophy, as you mentioned, and just credit unions in general, when people ask me about it, I say it feels good to put your head down on your pillow at night and know that you're working in an industry that's helping people in one way or another. And this is just such an extension of that. You articulated that so well, Bill, and I think it's so meaningful. And I for one, I'm grateful to you and to Tony and to everyone who takes the time to put into this to make sure that connectivity between credit unions and Children's Miracle Network, Children's Hospitals, Credit Unions for Kids stays strong.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg. Thanks for having us on, and thanks for supporting this initiative, because I think it's it can keep growing, and we've had record year after record year, but I mean the engagement is great to see, and absolutely. I just think there's more. I've heard there's probably 80% of the credit unions in the country are actually supporters of CMN hospitals. So that's pretty impressive. That is really the charity of choice. But there's more we can do. So
Absolutely.
supporting these events, I think, would be great.
Yeah, that 80% is great, and maybe through this interview we can pick up a few from that 20% that still need to get involved.
Absolutely.
Thank you again to both of you for joining me. Appreciate it very much, and I want to thank everyone who tuned in for this 3 questions video interview as well. And we will see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. See everybody.